Today, millions of computers are infected by viruses. And most of the people that own and operate those computers don't have a clue. Most viruses today don't show any obvious symptoms. I'm Ken Dwight, the virus doctor. And in this brief introduction, I want to at least expose you to three general areas that every computer operator, every user of a computer needs to understand. I want to talk about the scope of the problem, about your exposure, and the consequences. In looking at computer viruses overall, it tends to be something people don't get too excited about. Most of the excitement happens when there's a big story in the news media about some new virus that's making the rounds or causing a lot of problems. Most viruses don't get that kind of exposure because most of them are getting more and more subtle about what they're doing and how they affect you. One of the things that people have been lulled into a false sense of security about is there haven't been any major stories in the news recently. And so there's kind of this thought that viruses must not be a problem anymore. In case you're thinking that, I'm here to tell you in the last year, there have been more new computer viruses than in the previous 20 years combined. It's a bigger problem now than ever. There's several things that people tend to think they know about viruses that, again, lead into that false sense of security. In the old days, when you got a virus, you knew it. You got some weird error messages, or you couldn't reboot, or couldn't get into some program or something like that. Today, the most common symptom of a virus infection is no obvious symptoms. The other thing that I see people falling into this trap all the time is they'll say, well, I don't have to worry about a virus because I've got Norton on my computer, or McAfee, or whoever, AVG. And if that was all it took, then viruses wouldn't be such a problem. Viruses today have gotten so much more effective at avoiding detection and getting past the antivirus programs. Most of the computers I remove viruses from had an antivirus program on them. So the point is, it takes a lot more than having an antivirus program and even a firewall and other protective measures in place. When you look at the overall exposure, again, people don't realize how many ways it can affect them. Because other than the obvious symptoms that everybody has heard about for all these years, the more common symptoms these days are things you'll never see. Most viruses now are being used to hijack computers, to steal your identity, look for personal information, and probably most importantly, to send out spam. Over 90% of all spam now is coming from hijacked computers, computers that have viruses on them that the people that own that computer, that are operating it, don't even know what's going on. Sometimes the first symptom you see of a virus infection is when your internet service provider calls and says, we're shutting you down because you're sending out too much spam. So that's one of the issues. There's so many things that have caused so many problems that people are completely unaware of. It's not an exciting subject, but it's something that people need to have a better idea of how to protect themselves. And one of the things that I talk about in my full-day seminars, or my half-day or hour-long seminars, is what I refer to as the 7 layers of virus exposure. All along the way, from the internet itself all the way down to individual decisions the computer user is making, lead you to the condition of being exposed to virus infection. So as you look at the different things that can be done in way of protective measures, it takes a lot more than just having an antivirus program, but that's a start. If I had to list the 3 top things that you can all do to be as protected as is reasonably possible, have an antivirus program, and be sure it's set to scan everything automatically, and be sure that it's updated on a regular basis. Second major step to take is be sure that your operating system is updated. Especially if you're running Windows, which most people are, be sure you have the Windows updates current. And the third thing is to be careful about what you do, your behavior. The biggest risk is based on mistakes that the individual user is making. I'm Ken Dwight, the virus doctor.